Hey, welcome to our explainer. Today, we're diving into Nigeria's incredible tech scene. We're talking about a new generation that isn't just trying to fix old problems. They're building solutions that leapfrog them entirely, creating world-class companies right from the heart of West Africa.
So let's start with a big question, one that gets thrown around a lot. Does innovation really have a zip code? Do you have to be in Silicon Valley to build something that truly changes the game?
While a whole wave of young innovators across Nigeria is answering that with a massive no. See, they're not waiting around for the perfect conditions or for someone else to solve things. They're building right through the chaos, proving that what really matters is raw talent and drive, not where you're located.
But to really, truly get the scale of what they're accomplishing, you first have to understand the path they're on. You've got to see just how many obstacles are stacked against them from day one.
And wow, this slide, it lays out just what that climb looks like. For a young entrepreneur, it's not a straight shot. It means navigating things like a broken education system, unreliable power, and trying to get your hands on funding that feels like it's locked behind 1,000 doors. Each one of these points, which have been detailed in reports by the African Union and UNDP, is a very real daily struggle. And yet, this number right here changes the entire equation. 70%. 70% of Africa's population is under 30. Now, that's not just a statistic. That's the continent's greatest competitive advantage. It's a massive, creative, hungry workforce ready to build. All that energy just needs an outlet. And that outlet, more and more, is technology. The idea is simple but revolutionary. Instead of spending decades trying to repair old, broken systems, these innovators are just building new ones right over the top, bypassing the problems completely. This whole idea has a name: technological leapfrogging. Think about it. Why spend a fortune building thousands of physical bank branches when a service like M-Pesa can put a bank into millions of people's pockets through a simple phone? It's about using modern tools to just jump over old, inefficient infrastructure. This is the core mindset, and it's driving everything.
Okay, so who are the actual people on the ground making this happen? Let's look at some real-world examples of how very specific local problems are being turned into scalable, tech-powered companies.
Anyone who has ever been in Lagos traffic knows exactly what this problem feels like. But Chinedu Azudo saw that chaos not as a dead end, but as a massive opportunity. His company, Max.ng, used a simple app to organize motorbike taxis, making transportation safer and way more reliable. And in the process, they helped drivers multiply their income from around $80 a month to over $600. Or how about this one? Finding a place to live. A process that could take upwards of 200 days. I mean, can you even imagine? 200 days of searching and paperwork. Obinna Okwadu's company, Fiber, used technology to streamline the whole mess, cutting that time down to just 1 week. That's not just an improvement, that's a total revolution for an entire industry. It's kind of wild to think about, but before Mark Essien came along, a ton of Nigeria's hotels just weren't online. He saw this huge gap in the market and created Hotels.ng. He basically built the digital plumbing for the local hospitality industry from scratch, making travel possible in a way it just wasn't before. And then you get to the really big, fundamental problems, like just getting paid. How do you run a digital business when every country has a different, complicated payment system? Well, the now legendary entrepreneur Iyinoluwa Aboyeji tackled that frustration head-on when he co-founded Flutterwave. They created a single, unified platform for payments across the whole continent. It unlocked commerce for thousands of businesses and became a multi-billion-dollar giant, proving that Nigeria can build truly world-class financial technology. But here's the thing. These brilliant founders aren't operating in a vacuum. I mean, one success story is fantastic, but how do you make this kind of innovation repeatable? Well, you build an entire ecosystem to support it, a springboard, if you will. You see, a thriving tech scene needs more than just a couple of good ideas. It needs these foundational pillars. It needs physical hubs where people can connect. It needs access to that critical early-stage funding. It needs mentorship from people who've been there before. And most of all, it needs a community that shares a belief that, yes, this can be done right here.
And what's really cool is that this is not just a Lagos story. Far from the traditional tech centers, you've got hubs like NHub and CoLab training thousands and thousands of young people. They're creating this deep talent pool and proving that this movement is spreading across the entire country.
This quote from Solomon Odango, it just nails the psychological shift at the heart of all this. It's a move away from just pointing out the problems and a move toward taking ownership of the solutions. That right there is the fuel for this whole tech leap.
All right, so you've got this new mindset and this growing ecosystem. Where does all that energy go next? Well, the next great leap for innovators everywhere is artificial intelligence. And for Africa, this presents both a massive opportunity and its own unique set of challenges. A recent survey across several African countries found this really fascinating paradox. On one hand, you have a very high belief in how important AI is going to be for the future. But on the other hand, the actual engagement in AI courses and things like that, it's lagging way behind. There's a big gap between knowing AI is the future and having the tools to actually build it.
And if you're wondering why that gap exists, well, the reasons might look a little familiar. They're the same kinds of structural barriers we saw earlier, but now they're applied to the absolute cutting edge of tech. You can't train the next generation of AI developers without affordable courses, stable internet, and the raw computing power you need to run these complex models. Closing this gap, that's the next big mountain to climb.
So, after seeing the challenges, the incredible leapfrog solutions, and the road ahead, the final question really turns to you. Because if there's one core message from this whole movement, it's that anyone, anywhere, can be a builder.
I absolutely love this piece of advice from founder Florence Chikezi. There's this myth that you need a huge bag of venture capital just to get started. But the reality is, so many of these transformative companies began small. They started with a basic prototype, solving one person's problem, and then they grew from there.
So the path forward is actually pretty clear. It all starts with finding a local problem that you just can't stop thinking about. Then, it's about getting the skills to actually tackle it, whether that's coding or AI or data science. After that, find your community, find your people. And then you just have to take that first step and start building something, no matter how small it seems.
And that brings us to the most powerful idea of all. Every frustration, every inefficiency, every single broken system, it isn't a dead end. It's actually a signpost, and it's pointing directly toward the next great business opportunity. The only question left is, what will you build?